Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend. Hey, baby, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Very good. Got a guest coming up later in the program, David Loshelter. He's the author of a book with a really fun name, Take Care of Number 1 So You Don't Step in Number 2.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of a fun title, isn't it?
All right.
So it's and then it goes on, it says 7 ways to manage yourself so you can effectively lead others. So if you want a fun leadership book, be listening for more details on that. Got a couple of quotes since we've got the weekend. We'll do the Saturday quote first, and it's from Chuck Palahniuk. I don't know who that is. Anyway, may I never be complete. May I never be content. May I never be perfect. Okay. I agree with that. I probably won't ever be perfect. And then for Easter...
Well, why would you never want to be content?
I don't know. Because we want to continue to want more, grow more, do more.
I don't think that's what
I don't know.
we're supposed to strive for in
And
life.
then Easter spells out beauty, the rare beauty of new life. That's from S.D. Gordon. Coming up, we've got some special things this weekend. We'll tell you all about that in a bit.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. We've got a whole darn weekend to talk about. Let's start with Saturday, the 15th of April, Jackie Robinson Day, McDonald's Day, One Boston Day, Rubber Eraser Day, Take a Wild Guess Day, That Sucks Day, Tax Day, Record Store Day, World Art Day, Auctioneer Day, and Husband Appreciation Day. Heidi, appreciate me. That's on Saturday, the 15th of April. McDonald's Day. I wonder why it's McDonald's Day. Do you think that's the day they opened or something?
I don't know.
And then Easter Sunday, the 16th, is, of course, Easter Sunday. It's also National Bean Counter Day, National Health Care Decision Day, National Orchid Day, Plum Pudding Day, and, Heidi's going to like this one, Save the Elephant Day.
I love elephants.
I know you do. Got a couple of great things going on this weekend, and get out there and celebrate however you like to do it.
John and Heidi.
How much do you pay for cable or satellite? Don't forget your DVR rental fees and online movie accounts. When you add it all up, many people are paying well over $100 a month. Some pay way more. What if you could cut that down to zero? There's a device that surfs the net to find shows and programs you like with no monthly fee. Many have already cut their cable or tossed out their dish. If you have internet and a TV, you're all set. Learn more about this awesome technology that can save you money every month at ChannelSurferTV.com. Use promo code RADIO to save 25% at ChannelSurferTV.com.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. Officials at the HMP Kirkham Prison in Lancaster, England, admit it wasn't probably the best thought-out plan. This is kind of funny. Prisoners who were willing to volunteer to help make Christmas lunch for elderly people at a local daycare center were given the opportunity to purchase a raffle ticket for $2. So you had to help at this nonprofit event. And then you could buy a raffle ticket for $2 from the money that you made. The grand prize of the raffle was going to get a get out of jail for 1 day card.
Oh.
The head warden of the prison claims he was unaware of the prize. Prison officials say the promotion was designed to encourage good behavior, but the get out of jail free card has since been withdrawn as a prize. So I just think that's funny. Okay, come and help.
Did they give it to somebody
No.
and that person didn't come back?
No, they didn't do
Oh.
it because the warden was like, wait a minute, what are you guys talking about? You can't just decide amongst yourselves, hey, if you come and help, we need some people to help. You come and help, somebody's going to get out of jail. How's that sound? Just for a day. We trust you'll come back.
I would think that everybody would be volunteering to help if you could get out of prison to be doing, you know.
See, now, I don't know, because it says volunteer to help make lunch for elderly at a local daycare center. I think they were probably still in prison making the lunch. I doubt they went on site to make the lunch.
To hang out with small children. And...
Yeah, well, it's not a daycare center for elderly, so they wouldn't have been hanging out with kids. But it doesn't really say, and this was from back in December, so who knows? Anyway, I just thought that was funny as I was scrolling through. Always try to find something very bizarre for this segment, and that kind of fit the bill for, being very bizarre. So coming up, we've got your Brain on Drugs. That's on the way.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your Brain on Drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
And this is your brain on drugs. These stories make me laugh because so many times these people are just not the smartest. A Louisiana man struck up a conversation with a sheriff deputy about dumb criminals. And he was cited because he was a dumb criminal. A uniformed sheriff deputy was at a gas station, and a man came over to him at the soda fountain. And the man said, how busy have you guys been? And he goes, we've been busy. And he says, there's some stupid people out there. This is the guy, not the officer. As they were talking, the deputy noticed a plastic bag poking out of his pocket.
Oh, man.
He said, what's in the bag? And the guy goes, it's nothing. It's empty. And he goes, no, it kind of looks like there's something in there. And at this point, the red-faced culprit produced the bag, pulled it out full of marijuana. As he was putting the cuffs on, the officer said, what was that you were saying about dumb people out there? He went to the officer, went out of his way to go over and talk to him. He's like, there are a lot of stupid people out there, people like me. So, anyway, kids, that's what happens when your brain is definitely on drugs.
John and Heidi.
Now your moment of duh. 18-year-old boy, little hormones that he's got going on. Mr. Nicholas Rogers in England was out cruising in his car with his girlfriend when he happened upon a slower moving vehicle. Whether he was trying to show off or whatever he was trying to do, he started tailgating and honking his horn and lunging toward the car. They finally pulled up alongside the car, and he and his female passenger made a hand gesture. And I'm sure you know which one. Probably wasn't a thumbs up. The whole incident might have been fun for the couple had the other vehicle not been a police car. Yeah. Rogers was fined about $200 and had 3 penalty points put on his license. Why would you do that to anybody, first of all? But why would you do that to a police car?
Is that illegal to flip off a police car?
I don't know. I think that it's the lunging toward them and the honking and the, all of that stuff is probably the part that got them in the most trouble. I don't know if it's illegal. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to find out. Maybe later.
I know some people we could ask, though.
We're out driving around later. You can try it and we'll see what happens. I'll get some good webcam video, guys. Coming up, we have your Scoop of the Day.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your Scoop of the Day. The Vatican opens a free laundromat for the poor. That's interesting. It says those living in poverty in Rome will still be able to have clean clothing. Pope Francis has opened a free laundromat for the poor in the city. It currently has 6 washing machines and 6 dryers and some irons. Within a few months, showers and a barber shop and medical services are planned to be installed in that same location.
How do you know that the people using the free laundromat don't have money?
I don't know that they really care. They're just saying, we're going to give this to you so you can do it, whoever you happen to be. Hit Me Baby One More Time. Remember that song?
Yes.
When our son was a little boy, he really liked that.
Loved that song.
Britney Spears has announced after 4 successful years in Las Vegas, her residency is coming to an end. She announced last week that this December will mark her last performance, and her show there is called Piece of Me Show at the Axis Planet Hollywood Casino Resort. So if you wanted to see her hit you baby one more time, you have till December. Would you get, on this tax weekend, this is a perfect topic, would you get a tattoo of the IRS if you could never pay taxes again?
You bet your I would. I would put it wherever they wanted me to put it.
Well, it says, if you could live tax-free for life, would you get a big tattoo of the letters IRS on your body?
Yes.
In a survey, 1 out of 5 Americans said they would.
Only 1 out of 5? What is
20%.
wrong with people?
80% of the people said, nah, probably not. 20% of the people, yeah, I'd do that.
Right, I would.
Would you just?
I would be first in line.
You have a filthy mouth today. It's Easter weekend. Come on. Hey, want to teach your kids to love reading? Do this. Encourage them to do it with a dog, to read out loud. They're supposed to read out loud to a puppy dog, and that really helps. Gil Johnson with the University of Nottingham in the UK says, a dog is reassuring an uncritical audience who will not mind if you make some mistakes while you're reading. That's a great idea. And you know what? Dogs love it when you read to them. Their favorite book is Green Eggs and Ham. Okay, I don't really know that's true.
I don't think so.
That's just a fun book to read. So that's the one that I
don't think dogs like it when you read to
They do. Well, they like it when you give it any kind of attention. I would not encourage you to read to a cat. You probably get scratched up, depending on what the book is. Maybe The Cat in the Hat. I don't know. You think they would like that one?
I don't know.
Probably not. This has the headline, Wacky But True. You ready for this? In Germany, a dad and his 14-year-old daughter were parked by the roadside when a tractor pulling a trailer of, quote, liquid manure, end quote, which is, messy, swung in their direction. The manure sent the entire load pouring onto their convertible, covering the dad and the daughter from head to toe with, no one was injured, but police said the car was likely going to have to be a write-off. They're saying there's just no fix.
Man.
This didn't happen to me, but something that did happen to me. I was parked at an intersection, and there was a cattle trailer, and there was a bunch of liquid stuff floating around on the floor.
Yuck.
And there was a car that pulled up really close to him, right behind him, and way too close. And when they took off, all this stuff slides back, and it covered the front of that car. And I tried not to laugh because my windows were down and their windows were down, but I couldn't help but laugh because it was just so funny. I was like, why would you pull up that close to anybody?
You do that all the time. Oh my gosh, John.
No way. No.
So many times, bumpers are practically touching, and I'm like, you are making the car in front of you very nervous. And then they inch forward, and you inch forward.
Lunge forward a little bit.
I'm like, leave them alone.
I lunge forward, and then I honk my horn. I don't do any of that. But that was gross, seeing all that stuff coming out of a trailer and splash all over a car. Speaking of trailers, Marvel's trailer for Thor versus Hulk, see how I did that?
I see what you did.
Has done really well. Apparently, the Thor movie franchise is
Thor versus Hulk.
Yeah. Anyway,
so ridiculous.
They picked up 136 million views in the first 24 hours, becoming the most viewed Marvel trailer ever, but also Disney's most viewed trailer ever across all brands, which includes Pixar and Star Wars films. So for it to beat Star Wars, you know that people must be ready for this. So I've got a link to that video on our Facebook page so we can give them another 4 or 5 views if everybody wants to click on there. All together, we'll get a dozen more views today. Okay, there's more than a dozen people listening. Happy Easter. We'll be back with more fun stuff on the way. If you'd like to see that video, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Imagine the sand between your toes and an ice-cold drink in your hand. Join us this November for 80s in the Sand.
Week-long event with 80s music from over a dozen awesome bands.
Plus, meet 80s icons from the movies like Anthony Michael Hall, Andrew McCarthy, and several others.
Get all the details at 80sinthesand.com.
Use promo code RADIO to get a $200 immediate refund per person.
The website is 80sinthesand.com.
Book your week-long 80s vacation right now at 80sinthesand.com. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend. We've got a special guest joining us. I have David Loshelter. He is the author of a book with a really fun title. The title is Take Care of #1 So You Don't Step in #2. And then the subtitle, 7 Ways to Manage Yourself So You Can Effectively Lead Others. David, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you, John?
Fantastic. And I got to say, I love the title of the book. That's very catchy, very, very fun. Now, is this your first book, or have you done other books as well, David?
This is my second book. The first book I did was a self-defense book. I'm a big martial artist, and so I published one years back, and so then I embarked on the second book, which is this one, Take Care of #1 So You Don't Step in #2.
Now, this book is not about martial arts. It's a leadership book. Now, for folks that are maybe listening and going, that's a really fun title, what are they going to find inside? What kind of things are we going to learn in this book about leadership?
Yeah, the book was written based upon the personal development of a leader. And I started to notice that leaders were having trouble, not because they were trying to lead people, is because they were having trouble within themselves, and they had a lot of barriers that were they had to fight through. And I wrote this book. It was based on lectures I was doing, and I was coaching. And I was an athlete myself. I was a judo athlete. I was trying to make the Olympic team in the early 90s, and I didn't make it. And so I was successful, but I ended up taking third place in the Nationals 5 years in a row. And after I retired from competition, I looked back at that, and I was like, gee, why wasn't I able to make it to the national championship, the first place win, the gold medal. And I was consistently third, and so I started to look at that and started to understand that there was barriers that I put on myself. And from there, I started to lecture to the people I was coaching, and then from there, some business people came up to me and said, do you talk to business people? And I was like, yeah, I could do that. She goes, this is really good stuff. This would help my sales team. And so I started talking to sales teams about these same concepts, and there's success principles and the barriers to what's stopping you certain ways. So that type of thing kind of evolved into a book. And then from there, I started to do a lot of leadership stuff, and leadership stuff turned into using this information as a way to help leaders kind of lead themselves first and then be able to lead others.
That's really cool, David. And it's a great idea to have a book like this, because some books in this category, self-help books, they can be kind of stuffy. But this one, Take Care of Number One so you don't step in Number Two, from the title all the way through, it's just a lot more fun, and it's a way that people can learn something and be entertained and informed at the same time.
Yeah. What I tried to do with this one was I tried to use a lot of analogies and examples to kind of help people understand certain things. So, for example, like, we all have things that stop us, right? And then sometimes you don't know what that is. And so, one of the examples is there was a study done in 1957 by two psychologists, and they took a dog and they put a dog in what they call a shuttle box, and they would shock this dog, and they put a divider in the middle of the box. So they would shock one side, the dog would jump over. They would shock the other side, the dog would jump over back and forth. And so eventually they took out the divider and then just shocked the whole floor. So the dog had nowhere to go. So eventually the dog just laid on its back and just started to whimper and basically gave up. And so what they coined that term, like the psychological term, is learned helplessness. And so we've all been there, right? We've all been shocked in some way. Someone says something to you, John, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do that. That's ridiculous. Or, why bother? Or, hey, I have a great idea. Oh, that's a dumb idea. And you get shocked in metaphorically as well as, physically in a lot of ways. And you start to give up because it's like, well, why bother? And so with leaders, if they're not careful and they're not empowering their staff and their employees, then they are invariably shocking them to learn helplessness, and so they're able to not empower, they disempower, and they don't even know it because maybe there's too much control, maybe they're too insecure, maybe there's certain things there that they need to work on. So it's that type of thing where I think it's really important to understand that when you're leading, you have to understand yourself and what you're doing to others, because if you want to empower somebody, you got to give them the you have to water that plant. You have to garner their strengths. You have to be able to say, yes, give it a shot. If you fail, that's cool. I'll support you. But for the most part, you'll learn from that. And let's continue to grow that way together, and you can build a better team that way.
I agree 100%. David, the book is available right now. Where can we find a copy of this book?
Amazon.com. I also have a website. It's TakeCareOfNo1.com. And if you want a hardback version, too, it's Lulu.com. It's another website that you can get a hardback as well.
Very nice. David, thank you so much for taking the time to visit with me today.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Again, the website, TakeCareOfNo1.com. So is number spelled out?
Actually, it's not. It's NO1.com.
TakeCareOfNo1.com.
That's correct.
Very good. David, thank you again for your time. And again, folks, the book is called Take Care of Number One so you don't step in Number Two, 7 Ways to Manage Yourself so you can effectively lead others. It's available right now. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend.
John and Heidi.
It's almost graduation time. If you have a son or daughter finishing high school, you need to hear this. They can go to college without racking up a pile of student loans. Matthew Einstein did. He saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then he built a system to show you how to do it too. Learn how you can use this system for your kids or for yourself. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. Use promo code RADIO20 to save 20% at freeeducationuniversity.com. That's freeeducationuniversity.com.
John and Heidi.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
If you drilled a hole straight through the center of the earth from New York City, you would pop out in Perth, Australia. That's on the exact opposite side. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Lettuce is the only vegetable or fruit that is never sold frozen, canned, processed, or cooked. It's only
I've never
sold
really thought
fresh.
about that before, but you're right.
Yeah, it's only sold fresh. I remember one time we bought some lettuce. We had too much, and we threw it in the freezer thinking that was going to...
it didn't work.
It was off. I was like, well, iceberg lettuce. I think you can do that. No, that didn't work. I was way off. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Cookie Monster has a name. During a
I thought that was his name.
No, but he's got like a real name. Sid. Yeah, his real name is Sid.
Okay.
Sid the Cookie Monster. During a 2004 episode of Sesame Street, Cookie Monster said before starting eating his cookies that his name was Sid. So it's been mentioned once. Now you know. Cookie Monster, Sid. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
This is really cool. Roger Ebert, remember Siskel and Ebert?
I do.
And Oprah Winfrey went on some dates in the mid-1980s, and guess what happened on one of those dates?
What?
Mr. Roger Ebert said, you know what you should do? Your talk show is really good. You should syndicate that. And look what happened for Oprah Winfrey. So she should give 2 thumbs up to Roger Ebert because she did quite well because of that date. So there you go. A couple of fun facts for you this weekend.
John and Heidi.
Are you tired of the same old 9-to-5 rat race? Sick of not controlling your financial destiny? We partner with a leading health company whose mission is to support you to build a home-based business and help others be healthier, drop excess pounds, and live longer, more rewarding lives. Best of all, everyone who joins after you is placed on your team. No bugging family or friends. Call 866-741-7242 for more information. Or if you like, text the word income to the same number, 866-741-7242. 866-741-7242.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show this Easter weekend. For those of you who listen to the program, you know that quite often we have stories that are pro-coffee, and then we'll have stories like 2 days later that are anti-coffee. So I'm assuming sometime this week we'll get some anti-coffee stories, but right now, another pro-coffee story. It's just so funny to me that there are people that are so adamant against and for coffee that there's always stories about them. Have you noticed this? Mm-hmm. So let's see what the new
Or it
Java...
could be the exact same stories.
No, it's always been different stories. You keep saying that I read the same thing over and over.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, good news for Java junkies. If you love your coffee, your heart may love it too. People who drink 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day.
A day?
I do. At least 3 cups.
I don't.
3 cups a day. I know I can do that. It says people who drink 3 to 5 cups of coffee a day appear to have a lower risk of developing clogged arteries. One of the top causes of a heart attack. Health Day News reports that research from Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health in Baltimore, Maryland, found that moderate coffee consumption was associated with less calcium buildup in the arteries. That's good. Calcium buildup, by the way, is an early sign of hardening of the arteries and a risk for heart disease. The study found that the more coffee a person consumed, the lower the amount of calcium buildup, specifically those who drank between 3 to 5 cups of coffee a day. They had the least amount of calcium buildup. This even held true when other factors were accounted for, like age and sex and smoking and alcohol consumption, obesity, diabetes, and high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. Previous studies have shown that coffee also protects us from strokes and type 2 diabetes. Coffee is the cure-all, according to this story. They should start prescribing that. Okay, you're going to need to...
You have to have 5 cups of coffee a day.
Take three cups of this and call me in the morning. I just think that's really kind of cool. That's good news for me. My father had a heart attack, and that's how he passed away back in 95. I can't even think of a single time I ever saw him drink coffee. You know, I'm thinking back. That's something that I never really thought about till just now. He drank a lot of other stuff. Coffee was not on that list. Coming up, we've got much more. That's on the way on this Easter weekend.
John and Heidi.
How much do you pay for cable or satellite? Don't forget your DVR rental fees and online movie accounts. When you add it all up, many people are paying well over $100 a month. Some pay way more. What if you could cut that down to zero? There's a device that surfs the net to find shows and programs you like with no monthly fee. Many have already cut their cable or tossed out their dish. If you have internet and a TV, you're all set. Learn more about this awesome technology that can save you money every month at channelsurfertv.com. Use promo code RADIO to save 25% at channelsurfertv.com. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend. Many experts think that getting angry could be good for you. Yeah, as long as you vent your anger in a constructive way. The key to making anger work for you, Heidi, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Let it all out. Because if you keep it bottled up inside, it will turn into a little anger monster inside of you. And how can you use this anger constructively? If you're mad at the power company for raising their rates, write them a letter. Even if you don't send it, just write it. Put all your thoughts on that page, crinkle it up, and throw it in the trash. You will feel better just by putting your feelings on paper. I've done that before. I've not done it where I would write the letter, but I have gotten an email that really upset me one time, and I typed a response, and I typed a very long, drawn-out response, and I didn't send it. But I felt better because I said all the things that I wanted to say, and then as I was hovering over the send button, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let their bad mood change who I am, so then I hit delete. But I still felt better because at least I got to say logically all the things that were wrong with what they were trying to do. But I didn't send it because I was
You'll
like,
feel so much better if you just click that send.
No. I clearly couldn't have sent that one. I mean, I'd probably be dragged off in handcuffs. No, I was so upset. I won't go into what it was all about here. But anyway, thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Take a listen to this, Heidi. This comes from Germany. It used to be an innocent game. You know, you'd play fetch with your dog. You throw a stick. What does a dog do?
Bring it back.
Bites onto the stick, brings it back. Well, you throw the stick again. This goes on and on and on. But that's not what happened in Germany. He threw a stick, and the dog came back, but he didn't have a stick. He had a live hand grenade.
Oh, boy.
Fortunately for the dog and everybody in the vicinity, it did not go off. He called the police, not the dog, I'm assuming, even though it says, fortunately for the dog, it didn't go off. He called the police. Wouldn't that mean that the dog called the police?
Anyway, we all get it. We
So
figure...
the guy called the police. They evacuated the area, and they had the explosive experts make it safe. The dog's owner said, Heidi, that's the dog's name, I'm assuming, has already found loads of things. He could easily become a search dog, end quote. So what are the stuff he's been finding? Loads of things? What else is this dog bringing back? This guy can't play fetch anymore. He brought back a cadaver. I just don't know.
That's crazy.
That is really weird. Found a live hand grenade in a park in Germany. So there you go. Coming up, we've got some more fun stuff on the way.
John and Heidi.
It's almost graduation time. If you have a son or daughter finishing high school, you need to hear this. They can go to college without racking up a pile of student loans. Matthew Einstein did. He saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then he built a system to show you how to do it too. Learn how you can use this system for your kids or for yourself. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. Use promo code RADIO20 to save 20% at freeeducationuniversity.com. That's freeeducationuniversity.com.
John and Heidi.
Heidi, I've got two stories back to back that they kind of fit together. Experts have known for a long time that skimping on sleep may lead to overeating, and there's a new review published in a European Journal of Clinical Nutrition that pinpointed how much. It says folks who sleep for 3.5 to 5 hours, and 3.5 to 5.5 hours a night, ate an average of 385 more calories the next day than people who sleep for at least 7 hours. It could be because a lack of sleep can disrupt your hunger hormones, or perhaps tired folks simply had more of an urge to munch. But the author of the study says keep this in mind the next time you're tempted to stay up late at night, or you might end up eating too much the next day. So that's the first story, and it goes hand in hand with this one. It says overworking your brain may cause overeating. So there's two studies that have different things that cause overeating. I'm doing both of these. Mm-hmm. I'm not getting enough sleep, and I'm always overworking my brain. It says the stress of thinking drives folks to feeding frenzies. This, according to a study reported in a journal of psychosomatic medicine. Researchers compared... I would like to start getting a subscription to all of these journals.
As if you would read them.
No, I would. It would sit on this pile over here that I still haven't cleaned up. Researchers compared the hunger drives of students who performed 3 tasks, sitting and relaxing and reading and summarizing texts, and they took a complex computer test afterwards. After each task, the scholars were unleashed on a buffet. Compared to the retesters, the readers wolfed down 203 more calories, so like a 23.6% increase. So the people that had to think a lot, the computer gamers gobbled down 253 calories, so 29.4% more. So they're saying if you have to think a lot, overeating may be a side effect of that. It says we cannot ignore this factor because more and more people hold jobs of an intellectual nature. Yeah, that's what my problem is. It is such an intellectual job we have here. Coming up, we got some fart jokes. No, we don't. What we do have on the way is some good news. That's on the way in a bit.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
Heidi, I thought this would be good news for this Easter weekend. Easter, we found out earlier this week, was the biggest religious holiday of the year, even bigger than Christmas. I didn't know that.
That makes sense to me.
We found that out. Well, it says, this story I thought was perfect. I've been holding this for like 2 weeks now. It says, if you want to be happy, then find religion. Any religion. It says joining and actively participating in any religious group can do more for someone's, quote, sustained happiness, end quote, than any other form of social participation. Even if you're volunteering or playing sports or taking classes, any of those things, they just pale in comparison to going to church and being involved in your church. It says here, the church appears to play a very important social role in keeping depression at bay and also a coping mechanism during periods of illness in later life. The study author says, here's a caveat, even the researchers admit they're not clear whether this benefit is more about religion per se or having faith, or whether it's more about the sense of belonging and being part of a caring community. But they found participating in a religious organization was the only social activity that provided sustained happiness. So they found that in this study, and this is really cool. It's from London School of Economics, and there's a big, long rest of the name from something in the Netherlands that I can't pronounce. But I thought that was interesting. And then this other story was just adorable. I think we've actually talked about this dog before, but I just wanted to mention it again because this dog is probably the most sustained, happy dog in the world. There's a dog that goes to church every Sunday in Portugal, and he walks 16 miles every Sunday, a dog, to go to church. And I think it's really interesting. This dog in Portugal goes, like I said, 16 miles to get there by 7:30 Mass. She's done this every single Sunday for the last 3 years. Preta is the dog's name. Doesn't stop there, even though she's a dog. When worshipers stand or sit, or when they stand up, she stands up. When they sit down, she sits down. Whatever they're doing, she does the same. Once Mass is over, she walks back home. Sometimes she'll get a ride home, but only if she knows the people in the car. If they're people from her church, then she'll say, okay, I'll take the ride. The congregation has grown so much because there are people who want to come just to see this dog. So there are people who go to this church now in Portugal because they're going, hey, this is where that dog goes.
That's crazy.
Isn't it? I think we've talked about this before, haven't we? Or did I just read it online?
I don't think so. Okay. I would have remembered this.
I remember reading it somewhere, and maybe I meant to read it, and I didn't read it on the radio. But
so do her owners go to that
No.
church as well? She
walks there on
all
her own.
by herself.
Yes. Every morning the dog walks to church, or every Sunday, and then every Sunday the dog walks home. And it knows which day is Sunday, which is just amazing to me. So the dog's doing it. I think we all need to be, I don't know, taking a page out of that puppy's handbook there. So have a happy Easter weekend, everybody. And Heidi, thank you for joining me here on a weekend. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I love the weekend show.
She doesn't really have a lot of choice. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Happy Easter to you. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.